Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
We are all good. All good.
Fantastic. Same here. So this week you attended something very interesting, which was a get-together for the international insurance industry, crop insurance. So tell us a little bit more about that, dear Walt.
Yes. I didn't attend it as a delegate. I was there in my working capacity. I was doing some photos. It was Santam in South Africa hosted this event. It's the AIAG. It's like a conference. It was. It's basically almost like an industry body type thing for agricultural insurance. Their page on LinkedIn says we connect agricultural insurers worldwide. So it was a group of people from all over the world, mostly from Europe. There were some people from Australia, I think, and Japan. So yeah, it was quite interesting. The Monday was like a welcome thing, and then there was a quick presentation where we got to meet Wandile Shlobo, really cool guy. And if all goes well, we'll be having him on the podcast soon. So
great stuff.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. That in the presentation it came out that South Africa is the biggest crop insurer in Africa, or it's got the most crop insurance. And it's like we said, it kind of makes sense. It's probably one of the most commercial industries in Africa, or one of the countries where the industry is the most commercialized, I would say. So that was quite interesting, and it is a huge industry. And then on Tuesday we went off to Lawrenceford, where they, I think it was not September or October, they simulated hail damage in the orchard for this event. So they marked a row. Obviously, it's not going to be the whole block. And they literally went in with like one of these backpack sprayers, because you get a seeding attachment for that, where you can use it to sow seeds. And they put birdseed in and they blasted the fruit with that. So it simulated hail damage, which is quite interesting. So
indeed,
this whole group of people got to go into the orchards. They could pick the fruit, and they had to pick plums and apples. And then they would go take it back, they would sort it out, and then they would see what their calculations were. So the people from Santam did an assessment already. So they got how they would normally assess hail damage in an orchard. So they've got that total. Then they took all the people from all walks, from all these countries, and let them do the same. They explained to them their methodology of doing things. And so the people had to go into the orchards, harvest the fruit, assess it. Look, this is a class 1 fruit. This is a hail damage fruit. This is wind damage. This is insect damage or whatever. And they had to separate them and weigh it and calculate the percentages and all those things, which was quite interesting. Now, those findings were given out yesterday. Who was the closest, who won, versus what the guys at Santam did. I wasn't there yesterday. And yesterday also had a tasting with Provar. So I would be quite curious to see what the findings was. I'll see if I can find it out. But it was quite interesting to see all of this happen.
I'm sure. And I mean, crop insurance, we all know that it's important to have, but it is the trend, and people always say crop insurance is expensive. So to see how people actually calculate how they will be paying out for damage must have been very interesting, and how it differs between countries.
Yes, but I do think farmers need to start taking note of these things. Yes, it is an important thing, and it is a very expensive thing. But yeah, insurance, nobody likes to pay for insurance. And people can paint it whichever way they want. Nobody likes it. Because you only like it when you can claim and the claim is successful.
Of course. Yeah. Okay, so that was interesting, and good to know that South Africa was the destination for a worldwide get-together, we sometimes
Yes.
feel a little bit left out of the rest of the world. So it's good to know that, there were people from all over the world here and that South Africa was the host for something like that.
Yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so the other thing I took part in last week, Thursday, is that IFPA hosted a webinar between South African avocado producers and the industry and Chinese market agents and receivers.
Okay, IFPA is the International Fresh Produce Association.
Yes.
Okay. And how did that go? Tell me about that.
Well, I think the long and short of the meeting was that some of the South African growers marketed it to the Chinese buyers. So there was presentations from Westphalia, ZZ2, and Subtrop, the industry body for subtropical fruit in South Africa, and it is stuff that is mostly known in the market in South Africa, is like what kind of hectares, varieties, all those kind of things. But something that was interesting in this discussion was that by the looks of things, South Africa exports a lot of Hass avos.
Yes.
And it is because they are a little bit more travel friendly. They've got a little bit thicker skin. Okay. They just last a little bit longer. So if you look at the green skin varieties, it's normally a very thin skin that can damage easily and would definitely not do well in any forms of cold storage. So if I remember correctly, what was said in the webinar is that the plantings that China has done, and avos is quite new to the Chinese market. It's only been there for the last 10 odd years in the market. So the plantings that's been done in China has been mostly green skin avos.
Okay.
Because it's all consumed locally. So they don't need to travel very far.
No, that is always the thing. If you can, if your fruit can be consumed locally, it's first prize.
Yeah. So everybody will be shipping Hass avos there. Currently, the biggest supplier to the Chinese market is Peru, with 70% of the imported fruit in the Chinese market coming from Peru.
Okay.
So the Chinese buyers or the market agents were very interested in South African fruit for the reason they say that our packing facilities and our logistics from South Africa is a lot better, a lot more modernized, and is faster to market from shipping to the Chinese market. It is almost half the time as it takes to ship from Peru.
Good heavens. Interesting.
So they saying that the quality of the fruit arriving in the Chinese market will be better from South Africa versus Peru, which is a very good thing for us. But at the moment, we are still supplying a very small amount of the total fruit coming in. So this leaves us with quite a few questions. And it was said that the shipping to China will happen through Durban port. Currently, from my knowledge, is that all avocados are shipped through Cape Town currently. So everything coming in from Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Limpopo, everything gets trucked down to Cape Town and it gets shipped out of here. So that means that those logistics will have to get into place in the Durban port. And we all know that avocados in South Africa predominantly falls within the citrus season.
Yes. So the port of Durban.
The port of Durban, which, like we all know, has had its has had a lot larger share of disappointments than it should have had. So I just hope that the industries correlate. The industries correlate these things with each other, so that because who gets preferential treatment, the large citrus volume coming in, or the current small shipment at this stage going to China for avos.
Yes. So, you know the old adage, port is a 4-letter word. So, hopefully, they'll work it out. And we all know that currently all the issues in the Port of Durban it's very topical at the moment, but you and I aren't going to solve that in this discussion. But we do hope that the Avos have the opportunity to move to the Port of Durban.
Yes. So one of the things that was interesting in the conversation was that they are quite interested in green skin avos. So I think that there might be some trials happening to ship green skin avos to that side of the world, just to see what the quality and everything would be like. But then again, I think also that if the demand is high enough, it could possibly be flown out.
Yes, and tell us about where is the industry on the whole fumigation thing, the issue with the fumigation?
Well, I asked a question in the webinar. It is still something that I've not been able to get a lot of answers on. I've also heard that there are a lot of growers up country putting in big fumigation facilities on the farms. Now, for the people listening, avocados has got to be fumigated with methyl bromide, which is not the only other country at this stage that I know of that's got to be fumigated is India. And people are working on resolving that. Now, avos needs to be fumigated, and the Chinese market is saying that they are not doing well in cold storage or with cold treatment protocols, as you would do for citrus grapes or apples and pears. So they said fumigation, that is it. No, there's no exceptions to the rule. Yet Japan, who sits right next to China, has got a cold storage protocol in place. And shipments have gone there, also of Haas avos, without any issues. So I'm pretty sure everybody's working very hard, because that's an additional cost factor and a logistics factor that needs to be taken into place, because the protocol is very strict to be followed in a specific way, and there's reasons for that. And that causes a logistical bottleneck in the packing process, because of the temperatures that fumigation is going to happen at. It can only be done either before the fruit arrives in the pack house at the temperature 21 degrees and higher, or it must be done between the pack house and going into cold storage. So that is the logistical nightmare that's happening in terms of the fruit. The next thing is that this gas is incredibly poisonous and harmful to the environment. So you can't just put a container next to your pack house and put the fruit in there, close the door, fumigate it, and open it up and carry on. It needs to be away from people, well ventilated. You need to have all the PPE possible, gas masks, the whole bang shoot, to be able to do it. And I do not know how all those things are going to fit in. Are there going to be specially trained people on the farms? Is there an agent that's going to be coming in saying to farm A, today we're packing 5 containers for China. He's going to be there for the day to oversee the fumigation process. That we don't know. I do not know how this is going to work.
It's a big problem, because you know, with great fanfare, it was announced that South Africa has access to China for the avocados, and that was at the BRICS Summit in 2023, I think it was 23.
Yes.
And so now everyone's like, oh, we've got access to China, but now what about the methyl bromide? It's, as you say, it's deadly. It has to be applied you can't do it to avos that have already been cooled.
No.
And no one's really coming forward with the answers on this. So if anybody has any information to share with us about this, we'd appreciate knowing a little bit more, because
Yes.
this is a big conundrum.
I wouldn't say it's a conundrum, because having been involved with the Zimbabwe protocol last year and seeing how it's done, look, they didn't actually put the gas in. I saw the gas. I saw how it's going to be done. It's just a logistical problem for me. And like if it's going to be something that a registered company or a registered entity has got to do on the farms. Firstly, is there enough staff? Is there enough gas? Is there all those things? It is a big question that, like I said, I've spoken to many people. I've asked many questions. I've searched the internet quite extensively, and I simply can't find exactly how it's going to be done or what people are proposing to be done.
So watch the space. We'll have to find out, and once we do, we'll talk about it.
Yes, but as they also said, they are actively working on alternatives to get an alternative into place. And I would say that our Department of Agriculture will need to really pull finger on that, because the Chinese market wants our avos, and they are excited about our avocados. So to get something like a fumigation protocol changed in those protocols will mean a hell of a lot to our growers. So I would say they need to, our Mr. Steenhuisen, if should you be listening to this, you need to put some attention onto that.
There you go. Seom.
So yeah, I think that's it for now. There's obviously a whole lot of other stuff, but today we are visiting the Agricultural Writers Farmer of the Year, Groot Visantekraal, today and tomorrow. So we will be out of the office and mingling with everybody.
Yes, it's going to be very exciting. Well, thanks very much for telling us, thanks for sharing all the things you've been up to, Dewald, and hope you have a great day.
Okay, chat later. Bye.